Welcome back, everybody. This is another installment of Hoggie's Quick Beer Reviews and the second part of Beer at Mom's. Obviously my setting, my background's a little different here. As I told you in part 1, I'm over at Mom's house today. I've been doing some stuff in the yard. It's a nice sunny December, hot, sweaty, muggy December Miami day. And I'm here. I'm on to the second beer, the second review of today. The first one I did was something I just picked up. It was the Fresh Hop Ale, Great Divide's Fresh Hop Pale Ale. That was just because I wanted something tasty, a little refreshment during a break in my activities here. But now I bring you something more typical of Miami and something that just brings back memories. Today I bring you Presidente, Pilsner-type beer, as they call it, cerveza tipo Pilsner. Now, Presidente, for those that aren't familiar, is a beer brewed in the Dominican Republic. I don't know how it is in the rest of the states, but down here in South Florida, it is a very popular beer. It is a lager, Pilsner-type beer. Okay. Like most beers brewed in Latin America, give the Ashman a second to pass by there. Like most beers brewed in Latin America, it is an American-style adjunct lager. So I'm not too thrilled about this, but before I got into craft beer, I drank a lot of Presidente. To be honest, not Presidente itself. I never really liked Presidente, but I was a big fan of Presidente Light, which is what I actually wanted to buy today. I actually screwed up and bought the wrong one. I saw the light. I went back to do some things. When I came back to the beer aisle, I grabbed it. I went home, and when I got home, I realized I grabbed the wrong one. But regardless, as far as across the states, you'll probably be more likely to encounter this than the light. The light is relatively new and relatively rare. And I drank a lot of Presidente Light before I discovered craft beer. It was relatively cheap and refreshing as far as adjunct lagers and light pilsners go. As far as the Hispanic community in South Florida, they hold Euro lagers in high esteem because they sell them in South American countries. Central and South America, Latin America, those countries don't have much of their own beer culture. It's not like Europe, where the Germans have been making their own beer, and the British have been making their own beer, and the Czechs have been making their own beer for decades and centuries. Latin America knows nothing. They drink what the Americans drink, which is crap. So they make their own similar style crap. All that Tecate, Corona, Presidente, Red Stripe, everything that comes from the Americas for the most part is an adjunct lager. So, this is held in the same esteem as Heineken in some circles, mainly because it's a green bottle and it doesn't taste like corn, like your Budweisers, like your American beers. This is drank more by the people who drink the Euro lagers as opposed to the guys who drink the American stuff. But like I said, this is very popular down here. Good old Presidente. Grab the one that was in the freezer. That's this guy. But Presidente, brewed in the Dominican Republic. It is an adjunct lager. Beer Advocate, 131 reviews, C-. The Bros give it a D. American adjunct lager, 6% ABV. Now, coincidentally, I have this. You want to take a look at that? This is Mom's. She got this working the Cayocho Festival sometime in the 90s. She worked at a booth selling beer there with a buddy of hers a while back, and this is the Presidente bottle opener. Little strap there, goes around your hand like so, but it is a nice little opener. I figured what would be fitting, what would be more fitting than to use it for this. And of course, I'm using Mom's Budweiser glass, because I don't have any of my stuff here. So, pint glass, cheap beer, let's go for it. I was never a fan of the original Presidente, just something in the taste that I didn't like too much, although I still preferred it over Bud, Miller, and Coors. But I mean, this is your typical adjunct lager. Pale straw color. You can see that there. Lots of carbonation, a lot of bubbles fizzing up. Skinny pinky finger worth of head there. Nice fizzy head. And yeah, I mean, tons and tons of carbonation, bubbles just racing to the top there. And this is, it's not a pale straw, it's a straw, golden straw color, light gold color. It is darker than some of these foul beers I've reviewed. The color itself is not that unappealing. Again, let me see if you can get a look at that there. Starting to sprinkle, a couple big clouds have passed overhead. It's not as sunny as it was during the first review, but it's still a nice day out here. And now we're drinking Presidente. And in case you're wondering what that is, that's raindrops on the aluminum roof here. But yeah, you get the smell of grains. Corn, grains, hint of a vague light malt. I do detect a hint of hops. There is a very vague, very light hint of hops and sweet, cheap, pale malt. There's not much else going on here. And of course the head, I mean, it's receded. It looks like it might stick around a little, but it's not doing too good. And that carbonation is just still, I mean, it's like the air bubble thing in a fish tank. It's just non-stop bubbles to the top. There's a bit of a sweetness in the smell as well. And of course, green bottles. Fortunately, this doesn't smell skunky, but it doesn't smell that inviting either. Right away, carbonation. Just a whole lot of carbonation on the tongue there. When you get past that, there is kind of a corn, grain, vegetable kind of flavor that comes across. Under that is a bit of sweet malt. And when I say a bit, I mean a bit. A little bit of like pale sweet malt there. And then you do get a bit of hops in the finish just to kind of clean up and crisp the finish out along with the carbonation. But that's about it. Really cold, and when you're thirsty, this will do you fine. This is along the lines of Heineken. I mean, I know Heineken at the very least doesn't use adjuncts. It's a Euro-style pale lager. This is more of a Budweiser mold with the adjuncts. But still, it has a little bit more bitterness than its American counterparts. You know, I guess that's why they do the green bottle. They brewed it American style, but they aimed it with the bitterness a little bit more at the Heineken Beck's Polygirl market, which is very big in Latin America. I mean, it's not good, but it's not horrible. It's not offensive. It's a little better than Budweiser, I'd say. And at the very least, it's a little darker, has a little more heft to it. It's not as light and as watery as a light beer. So, I mean, I can't even rate this, because I'd rate this, honestly, a glass half empty. This is not a good beer. This has no redeeming qualities other than it's not offensive, and it's not horrible. But I mean, it's a Caribbean adjunct lager. If you're in the Caribbean, or if you're working in the yard and you're hot and you're sweaty and you want refreshment, this will do you as well as a Heineken or as well as a Budweiser will. If you want flavor, if you want a well put together lager, a well put together Pilsner, as this claims to be, look elsewhere. But again, the Americas, from Canada to the tip of Argentina, they really, I mean, exclude America and the recent craft beer movement. But as far as general populace, craft beer, good beer, quality beer, it's still working its way through. Latin American beers, Caribbean beers, don't expect much. This is a decent adjunct lager at that, and I'll leave it at that. But I've been sweating for the last couple hours out here, so I'm going to knock some of these down because they're out the freezer, fresh out the freezer. So that's that. Presidente. Maybe one day I'll bring you guys Presidente Light. Until then, cheers.